Hello, I'm Roxanne Miller, and I want to welcome you to my channel. I speak about adult industry and also about mental health, personal development, and I teach a tool for both the adult entertainers and the general population that will help them to have a healthy boudoir time. I have been a glamour model and a professional photographer for more than a dozen years now, and I can tell you things that will help you understand that you are not alone. And also, if you are curious to peek behind the curtain, there is tea to be spilled. You know, before starting this channel, I actually tried a few things here and there, and I have to keep my window open, so there is going to be some noise behind. But yes, so I've been asking myself, what would I talk about? What would I? Am I even interesting? Am I good enough to have a vlog in which I teach people things? And sometimes the answers to these questions were really, really rough because, like plenty of us, I am my own judge, right? And that's what stopped me plenty of times, even though this idea has been lurking in my head for years now. And I feel like I want to this is what I understood about myself, that I want to get better, that I want to share, and that I came to the understanding that my experience might help others in not feeling alone. So, like when you're on diet with a friend and it gets easier because you're not alone there. This is how I feel about you joining me on this journey of making things work and of making things matter. I was thinking, and then I rewrote that thought. I caught myself doubting myself, and I rewrote that. I am on the way of becoming one of the best content creators, and I am on the way of becoming one of the best YouTubers. It sounds cocky. It's manifestation. I am on the way of being right there on the financial level where I want to be. And I am right there on my way of fulfilling all my dreams. And I want to take you with me and learn all these things with me so you can achieve them too. For a long, long time, I was accused of being lazy. I was accused of being unsociable. I was accused of being harsh or rigid. I've been accused of many, many things, but what I didn't know back then was that in reality, it was my personality type mixed with my ADHD. And this is not an excuse, but I have come to an understanding on how to work with them in order to make myself happy first. So, for instance, I would do things like come up with a logical solution to a sentimental problem, or be able to see the issues for other person, come up with a solution, but not stay there to see if it gets fixed, because that's not interesting to me. I If the conversation is boring, my mind starts wandering. Um, I am interested in subjects that other people are not, and I love sharing them, and I get upset when they do not care. And if I'm interested in a subject, I dive deep. Like, I'd go for months into that subject. Sometimes I take a lot of time to take a decision, to think about things in order to make a decision. But I do not say it out loud. It's in my head, right? So for many people, when I came to a decision, it seemed abrupt because I didn't allow them to be part of the process. So even though they were involved in a way or another. So I am actually working with that now. I am working on making myself happy first. And I know that if I love myself as I am, and if I find a way to think of me as perfect the way I am, I know that that will be reflected on other people's eyes as well. And I'll stop thinking of myself as pain in the ass. Yeah, plenty of people told me that at the first glance I seem to be arrogant, full of myself, unapproachable, when in reality I'm not. And that's what they told me too, that once they got to know me, they realized I'm a kind and a warm person. But I'm assuming that because of all the trauma and all my circumstances, basically, I put a wall in between me and people. And I didn't allow them to get closer. Because when you get closer, I may be hurt. And I don't want that. So I would push people away. I would do that in order to protect myself. And I remember saying plenty of times that I do not care about what people think, what people say. And especially in my 20s, when I lived on alcohol, cigs, and carpe diem, I was a rebel. I was rebelling against all I knew. Because that was the only way I knew how to get away from all the pain, by numbing myself. And now when I look back, I don't think back then I thought I was cool, but now all I see is unhealed pain. And besides that unhealed pain, I wanted to belong and not. I wanted to let people in and not. As soon as they were getting too close, I would push them away. That was my circumstance back then. Fortunately, I came to understanding that all these beliefs that I created in my 20s and all these bad habits that I embraced in my 20s do not resonate with me anymore. So I stopped them. Some of them cold turkey, some of them step by step. I started to see myself as a better person, as a healthier person, as a person who's worthy of love and respect. But that was here and there because, for instance, I used to be this rock and roll hippie chick model who sometimes wouldn't even bother to wash her hair, put it in a messy bun, and take some pictures. You could call it a hot mess. No, I was just a mess. But all these things eventually changed because starting with the pandemic, when we all had time, I started to think here and there and go inwards here and there. And I remember crying my eyes out while reading Peterson. And things started to change inside of me, but not enough back then. Not enough. Last year, though, when my mother was hanging by a thread, I realized that maybe there are things that are not in my power, but what it is in my power is that I can actually control how I feel. And I do not have space in my heart for anger and resentment. And I chose love to fill all that space. For a little bit of backstory, I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness. And I got baptized at 17. When you grow up as a Jehovah's Witness, you are supposed to be a virgin, and you are supposed to marry a virgin, and you are supposed to marry a Jehovah's Witness. I did not do that. And eventually my mother found out and told the elders that I'm not a virgin anymore. So there was a committee that actually decided to shunt me. Before the pandemic, if you were shunned, the members of your family were still allowed to talk to you, but the members of the congregation not. In 2020, they changed the rules. I think it's a little bit of a reverse psychology, like let's push the buttons up until they react. But the thing is, in my case, it reacted backwards. So my parents, are not allowed to talk to me anymore because I was shunned. So if you are a Jehovah's Witness and you have a kid or a brother that's shunned, you have to let go of the blood in order to receive all the blessings. Now that hurt me a lot, and in the moment I closed the door after them, I thought of them as being dead, because an adult who all of a sudden is orphan, but then they started dying. And that is one of the moments in which I realized how powerful my thoughts are. I started praying and meditating and asked God and the universe to heal them, because I was ready to forgive that. It took me a while, quite a while, to get to that point. Actually, it was up until 2023. That's how much I had to work with those feelings of being rejected. And it's still not completely healed, but it's better. Now that you have a little bit of insight on the core side of me, I will tell you also that my education is basically science, but with touches of art. I studied acting and I ended up graduating photography school. I am both analytical and creative, and I educated myself in plenty of things like design or videography or editing, because I love getting deep in the subjects that interest me a lot. And you will see, speaking about that, you will see that sometimes the subjects in this channel will fluctuate according to my interests. but there will be a core to it. We will get all better together. In my early years, I also lived a lot with my grandma. And while this was a blessing, it was also a little bit of a curse. You see, my grandmother was a woman of contradictions. She was elegant, always with fitted clothes, leather shoes, leather bags, always had her hair and nails done, never left the house without her red lipstick, and yet she was the victim of violence. She was cheated on. She was verbally, physically, mentally abused by her alcoholic husband. And I loved her, and I didn't know that that's not normal, right? And she also, even though I'm sure she meant no harm, she loved all of her grandchildren. She brought us up to having limiting beliefs. She used to tell me that I shouldn't have fitted clothes because I will either gain weight or stain them. That I wasn't basically worthy of having things because I get bored of them more. So I grew up thinking that I do not deserve quality things because I get bored of them. I do not deserve quality things because I break them. I grew up thinking I wasn't worthy. And also, there is another thing. Because, like every single teenager, I wasn't interested in cleaning or washing dishes or cooking. For me, it was mundane and it bore me out of my skull, you know. I wanted to read, I wanted to do things for the mind, right? But she would always tell me that I have to learn how to cook in order to keep a man. That I have to learn how to keep a house clean in order to keep a man. That I have to do this and that and that and that in order to keep a man. And to me, this message was translated in you have to be a freaking slave in order to keep a man. And you don't matter. You don't matter as a woman in a relationship. You don't matter. You have to do all of these things to keep the men happy and at home. And I figure, what the hell? Who the fuck? I mean, I am not gonna have a man who's going to tell me to fucking cook for him. No way. So all these relationships thing is that my grandmother would tell me sickened me to the core. And actually, mixed with the fact that my mom was pushing me to go to elite schools in order to make something out of myself. And I did go to these elite schools, and it was hard. I actually soon realized that my brain is my power, and I I on a subconscious level, I was aware that I deserved to be happy, but I allowed too much the idea of me not being worthy take place. And it overpowered the idea of being worthy. I got in such a rebellious state that I tapped in my masculine power so strong that I didn't know how to get out of it for more than 10 years. And the problem with it is it's sickening for a woman to be there I needed to gain back my femininity. I needed to gain back my feminine power. And if that means to be fragile and open, I am up to it now. For the past 14 years in that I spent in the adult industry, I've had plenty of roles. Started as a model and then I tapped in and then became a professional photographer. I've been a trainer, content creator. I've had my own business as well. Now I am getting into vlogging, and that is because I want to raise some awareness. I want to make sure that you know that for every single scumbag in the industry, there are 10 people, at least 10 people who are amazing. I want you to know that this industry is not all bad. It helps plenty of people gain back their lives. It helped plenty of people get out of situations in which they saw no exit. I know there is the immoral side of it, but on the other hand, there are people who need to know that they are not alone in their fantasies. There are people who need to know that they are not sick. Some are. There are people who need to know that they are not alone. And if I can help with that, I'll gratefully take that. I may eventually bring up some subjects that will be a little bit harsh for the ears of the most conservative users of this platform. But as well, I feel like I will trigger some of the feminists that will come back for me because of the role that I play in society and the things and the subjects that I will talk about. But that is a role that I'll happily assume. I know there are things that need to be told, and I know that are things that we need to be aware of. And I know that I feel in my heart and I know in my head that there are people who need to hear all of this. So I am inviting you in this journey of mine. Well, with this video, I just wanted to introduce myself a little bit. And I am now in the process of learning a language that helps many. You can visit my website, roxanne-miller.com, and there you can find all my social media and all the other links. You can follow me everywhere, and I'm hoping that this video is going to help somebody. And now please keep in mind that you are lovable, you are loved. So please go in the mirror and tell yourself, I am lovable, I am loved, I am love. Thank you very much. I'm Roxanne Miller, and I'll see you next time.